As we have shared in the project, I'll be sharing the podium here with Juliana, because this Watershed Connections project, which you'll be hearing about shortly, a little more, is a partnership-based project that the county initiated with Watershed Project and Urban Health back in 2019, although we began planning it actually right here, not here, well, actually it was here in 2014, 2015 at the last two symposiums ago. Anyway, this is, as you already heard a bit about it from Doria Robinson, Executive Director of Urban Health, the other major partner in this. This is a project that really is about connecting people with place. It's not simply about putting in urban greening and GI features in a disadvantaged community. It's about creating stewardship, a sense of stewardship of place by the people who live there. And this is what will be the legacy going forward, that this is creating a sense of place and stewardship among Northerton and around Northerton. And there are many features. I will just speak to one at this point. I will just speak to one of the three major components, because Doria Robinson spoke to the Fred Jackson Way Rain Garden that was built by and is being maintained by their Basins of Relations watershed crew. That is extraordinary. It's worth seeing, and of course, I hope you come out to visit it, because it provides filtering for all of, thank you. It's filtering for stormwater for Fred Jackson Way and Brookside Drive for about 5,000 square feet of it, 20,000 square feet. Anyway, it is also a complete street that was changed into a green street by way of this major $1 million project funding that we received from the Coastal Conservancy. So a big shout out to the Coastal Conservancy. You'll hear more. You've heard about them before. You'll hear more about them later. They are extraordinary. They sponsored this as a $1 million more or less grant back in 2019. We're finishing up this next month, after 4 years during COVID of building this. So the Fred Jackson Way Complete Street became the Fred Jackson Way Green Street, with the planting of 38 street trees, along with the Filterra, and also, of course, the bikeways that go there. I will just turn over now to Juliana, who will speak to...
Yeah, so the next two elements, so we have several elements. So these creeks are the Wildcat Creek and the San Pablo Creek, happen to be in the community of North Richmond. And in this community, we heard this morning, there is a nice farm where people can go and get some vegetables, and they couldn't walk there because there was no sidewalk. So that was also something we wanted to do. The idea was to have a walkable watershed, and the kids from the school walk to the community center in a walking school bus that uses the safe route to schools. And so the Watershed Project had been talking to the county about improving this. We have been cleaning this area for a long time, and so we said, well, we're going to activate this and create an urban nature loop so that people could go from the school to the after school to the senior center and to the health center, and then follow this complete street that had trees and it was shaded all the way to the farm. And there were improvements both to the sidewalk, to the bike lanes, but also it had some shade. But then in the neighborhood itself, we started a pilot for an Adopt a Tree program, so that the neighbors could plant trees in front of their houses to shade not only this beautiful trail now that was bringing the kids to the after-school program, but also within the neighborhood. And to do this, we partnered with Janine Strickland and Pinky Young from our staff, collected data from the neighborhood using a GIS system so that we knew how many trees we had, what were the opportunities. Then we created a toolkit for how are we going to do this. And so this is serving as a template for how can you start an Adopt a Tree program in other communities in Contra Costa County. But for the adopted loop, we decided that we're going to layer another grant from the Coastal Conservancy as well, from the Coastal Stories, that was integrated cultural resources into the project. So not only we had the infrastructure, now we had the trail and the sign and the tree and the bioswale, but now we were putting the stories. So we went around, we talked to people, we recorded interviews, we hired designers and artists from the community, and we created these medallions that are like along the path so that the kids can kind of like follow this beautiful path now that tells them stories about the land and the animals and the plants. And also we have QR codes that are linked to a tour that is online in this app called Puckett Sites. And it's a watershed tour, basically, where they're learning about different points of interest. So that's what you're gonna see tomorrow. You will be seeing the rain gardens, the complete streets, then walk along the creek and learn about Wildcat Creek. We also have a children's book that was written kind of to capture some of the Native American stories and some of the Chichenyan names of the items and the animals that we chose for the Safe Route to School portion, and then you have an urban nature loop. So that will be the tour.
And you see, it's the power of partnerships to make this a reality. We need more of this as we go forward.
It's a great project. So I'm excited to introduce the Lower Walnut Creek Restoration Project. It was completed by the Flood Control District this past year. It's located in a special part of the Walnut Creek watershed. It's at the very end of Walnut Creek where it outfalls into Sassoon Bay. This project was a large-scale project for the district. It enhanced and restored about 300 acres of coastal wetlands, and it also kind of represented this paradigm shift from single-use projects to multi-use benefit projects. So the driving purpose of the project initially was to solve an issue that happened when the Corps initially built the flood control system around Walnut Creek in the 1960s, which resulted in a big problem for the district, which was too much sediment. So the sediment was just dropping out there, and it would have required the district to dredge in an unsustainable amount of time and intensity. So the district took a deep dive into thinking about re-envisioning this and, changing course as we're kind of evolving too with how we work with nature. So the new motto is working with nature. And so some of the multi-benefit objectives that were developed were first, restoration. So the focus is restoring the historic marshes. We have other places in Sassoon Bay as a reference. And as part of that restoration, it was mass grading to create some microhabitats, so some nice seasonal wetlands in there, and tidal channels whose breaching and sinuosity match some of our reference sites around the bay. So that part's cool, and as part of restoration objective, we can't not think about sea level rise and climate resiliency. So the project graded an upland transitional slope so that the marsh can, and the habitat, migrate upslope with sea level rise. So we have this pocket of resiliency in this really important area. And then, of course, flood control thought about flood control features. So some levees were moved back so the channel became less constricted, the stormwater could open up, and we also enhanced the floodplain and connected it to the tidal zone, tidal marsh, so that we could have more natural geomorphic processes, and the sediment could accrete over the marsh and the floodplain like it had, hundreds of years ago, and we're kind of recreating and connecting back those processes, which was really beautiful to see happen. And then finally, recreation. So the district built a footprint for future trails, about 4 miles of trails, some water access points, and I don't know that we built a footprint for an interpretive center, but this whole about 300 acres has been transferred over to the John Muir Land Trust, and they will be the ones to complete the recreational features. So 4 miles of trails, so we can look forward to all of us having public access there. So here's what the site looked like during construction. I chose this picture just to demonstrate how much dirt digging there was. So this is massive grading. So what it's all about. This is actually a picture of the South Reach. We'll be going to the North Reach. You can see on the left, this project was divided into four main pieces: North, South, Middle Reach. Pacheco Reach is kind of there in the future for us to work on. This field trip will be at the North Reach. That's about 230 acres. This is also where all the John Muir Land Trust land is. And so if you can't make it tomorrow, I hope you can, but otherwise I really encourage people to check this out. It should be open to public sometime next year or so. So it's kind of this cool, unique spot to actually check out where, Walnut Creek empties out into. So yeah, hope to see you there.
Hi, my name is John Cain. I'm the Senior Conservation Director for River Partners, and I have been lucky enough to be working on the Dutch Slough project for 25 years. I was able to work with the Coastal Conservancy, was the initial funder on it, and the Department of Water Resources got the job done, and so many other partners in the room helped. Thank you very much. I was lucky enough to, late in my career, get a job with River Partners, and we did River Partners is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary, and we have restored 18,000 acres of riverside lands, mostly in the Central Valley. We happened to get the contract on the Dutch Slough project, and we also did the revegetation at the Lower Walnut Creek project. Thank you. The Dutch Slough project's at the mouth of Marsh Creek. I've been told that it's the largest freshwater tidal marsh restoration project on the west coast of the Americas, right here in Contra Costa County. It was originally slated for a subdivision of 4,500 homes, and thanks to the state of California, we were able to buy it and restore it over the last 20 years. It's been a very successful project. The goals of the project have been public access, I'll come back to that, fish and wildlife habitat, and advancing restoration science. And we've had incredible success on those second two goals. UC Davis monitors the site and reports that of all the sites owned by the Department of Water Resources in the Delta, both natural sites and restored sites, the Dutch Slough site has the highest biodiversity of any other site after only 1 year. We're doing with partners like UC Berkeley, USGS, UC Davis, Cremin Fish Sciences, all kinds of amazing research out there sponsored by the Department of Water Resources. And it scores among the highest top 1 percentile for carbon sequestration of ecosystems worldwide. The boat in the bottom is this really innovative technology developed by Joe Merz at Cremin Fish Sciences, which is, if you come on the field trip, I'll explain it more to you tomorrow, but it's basically just like that thing we've been putting up our nose in the era of COVID, except we put it in the water, and we're measuring environmental DNA and can tell you what kind of fish live in Dutch Slough just simply through tracking the water that comes underneath the boat. This channel you're looking at is an engineered slough. It's a totally engineered marsh, and there's large equipment out there in this picture breaching the site and opening it up to the tides. If you come on the field trip tomorrow, you'll see the bridge that spans there, and we'll stand on the bridge and watch water come in and out. It's really impressive. I think I've covered what I should cover because I need to move on to the next presentation. I've agreed to give a presentation on the next project for Sarah Puckett, who's had the opportunity to work on that project for 20 years or 22 years since 2001. It's the Three Creeks Parkway in the city of Brentwood, along Marsh Creek where Sand Creek and Deer Creek come in. That project was a partnership with the Flood Control District, the city of Brentwood, Friends of Marsh Creek. I don't want to leave anyone out. Restoration Design Group was instrumental in making that happen. It's a much smaller project than the Dutch Sloop project, but in some ways it was every bit as difficult, and Sarah gets a lot of credit for carrying it from the beginning to the end, as does the Flood Control District for saying yes and staying in it through very hard times. Sarah has lots of incredible stories to tell you about all of the different challenges they had in putting this project together, but it's almost a mile long, and what it did is it converted a trapezoidal flood control channel into an expanded two-stage channel to create enough room to convey floodwaters, safely convey floodwaters, and allow for the restoration of riparian vegetation. So what we see in the screen here is riparian vegetation that was planted in 2021 and is now a couple years old, and it's thriving. Oops, did I show you that picture already? I'm sorry. Did I show you that picture? Yeah. Okay, so the great thing about these tours in East County is you can come to Dutch Slough tour in the morning, and if there's room, you can do the Marsh Creek tour after lunch with Sarah. Thank you so much for coming out today. And I want to just make a shameless plug. Subscribe to Bay Nature. Read their article about heritage growers, River Partners' native seed venture, and make sure you buy local to here native seed for your restoration project. Thank you.